Hey, what's up, people? Welcome back to the Over in 80 Minutes podcast. This week, I'm joined by a proper superstar. Not only is she a superstar now, but she's also a superstar for the future. I'm joined by Hibs Women's Player of the Year, Scotland age grade representative. She's known as Miss Consistent in the Hibs dressing room. I saw that on the Hibs website. She is soon to be a Scotland superstar. If you don't know, get to know. I'm joined by the wonderful Ellis Notley. Ellis, the most important question I'm going to ask you, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. I'm surviving and thriving. The usual work traffic home, but we got there eventually. You're still in your car, so you know you're en route.
I know. Just bit of quiet in the car rather than in the madhouse, to be honest.
I know how you're feeling. If I could do this from my car, I probably would. You've met my brothers. You know how this goes.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Exactly. So we're going to start with the quick fire questions. This is just say the first one that comes to your head. A lot of either ors, but easy as it goes, and it lets the fans know a little bit more about you, and then your teammates will probably have a dig at you for some of the random stuff you come out with. Right, so start off nice and simple. Tea or a cup of coffee?
Tea.
Good answer. Night out or a night in?
Oh, night in.
Right, if you had to get rid of one tomorrow to never be on the face of the earth again, would you get rid of pets, like as a collective, or would you get rid of football?
Oh, pets. No, football.
I don't get rid of football. I gotta keep the dogs. Right, I like how you had like a flashback to every pet you've ever had there. You're like, oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of my dog right now. Like, nah, can't get rid of it.
Right, if you're on Netflix, you're more likely to watch a movie or a TV series?
TV series.
Nice. What we talking? We like Breaking Bad, the classics, or?
Well, I just finished Ozark.
Oh, I need to watch that. I've not watched that yet.
It was good. Ending debatable, but I liked it up until that.
Oh no, because now I can't watch it because I'm going to spend the whole time watching it. Going, the end's a disappointment.
Someone did that to me, so I finished it. So
you've just ruined Ozark for all the listeners, but there we go. Right. Would you rather play a game of football on a really hot day or a really wet and rainy day? You play in Scotland, so I know the answer to what you've done the most, but
football in the rain.
Right. When you're in the car on a way to a game, are you a music or a playlist kind of gal?
Yeah, I just put a random one on or someone that's already created. I don't create my own.
So you're a playlist, not radio.
Playlist,
nice.
Not radio.
Right, to relax, not to get clean, but to relax. You're more likely to have a bath or a shower.
Shower.
Really, not
I
a
hate
bath.
Baths. I hate bath.
We'll delve into that later. I've never seen somebody so passionately respond to I hate bath. Right, you're trying to get something organised with your pals. Either it's like a night out or some sort of birthday present. Are you more likely to get the FaceTime or texts on the go?
Text.
I'm a FaceTime man. I just get it over and done with.
I know, but my friends are useless, so just get text. Fine.
That's the most honest answer I've ever had. It's like, I know they won't answer, so I just text them. Right. Would you are socks and sliders acceptable as footwear?
Yes.
That's the footballer answer there. So what's your go-to musical?
Oh, go-to musical. Lion King.
Always a safe answer. Sweet or salted popcorn?
Sweet.
Right. Following on from the cup of tea question, is it acceptable to drink a cup of tea that you've forgotten about and it's gone cold?
Depends how much is left.
So what's the ratio? Does it need to be a lot left or just a little bit left?
Nah, it's like one sip, it's fine. But if there's more than that, it's going down the sink.
Oh, what's your go-to spice at Nando's?
Medium.
There we go. That's the quick fire questions. See, plain and simple. Now we just have the ones I gave you a chance to prepare for. So what is your favourite bit of memorabilia that you've ever collected?
So I don't collect a lot of kits. I've got all my old Hibs kits, stuff from when I played at Scotland. So my favourite ones when I was under 19 Scotland, and we made it to the Euro finals. So I've got my home and away kits from then, and it's got obviously like my name on the back, the number, and it's got on it under 19's Euro Championship on it. So, that's my favourite bit. It's a good memory to have.
I feel like people are going to think I'm lying because every time I go, that's a great answer, but I've just conveniently managed to work the podcast that it just comes with like a better answer. So I had Claire Maxwell say her piece of kit was her Commonwealth Games kit, and then I had a guy, I had the chairman of St Mirren. We'll talk about that in a minute because St Mirren fans will be raging that you're here. But we had the chairman of St Mirren that had a newspaper from the first time St Mirren won the cup, or the last time St Mirren won the cup. And now you've come along with European finals winners under 19s. So
we didn't win it, unfortunately, but
Yeah, no, so, I don't know why I said winners there. Yeah, I got caught up in the St Mirren. You got to the final. Don't be harsh on yourself. It's not an easy task to get to a final. That's a well deserved. That's a well deserved accreditation. Creditation. It's a good thing I decided to write a podcast and not a blog, isn't it? Write a podcast. See, just fake it till you make it. If you want to start a podcast tomorrow, just start talking to a camera and something sticks.
Something will work.
Yeah. So you've got your under-19s European Cup finalist shirt. What is one piece of memorabilia that you don't have yet that you'd like to hang next to it?
Obviously, A squad, a women full cap top. That's the goal. I've got ones from played in finals with Hibs and stuff, but I think full Scotland cap jersey is what I aim for.
Mm-hmm. I like a full starting number as well, not like personal. I want the starting position number
as well.
To
be fair, I love number 16, so if it doesn't have to be a 1 to 11.
No, what's the story behind number 16 then? Is it just the number you've always had?
I think it was my first ever Scotland number at under 15s, and then it was my first Hibs number. So when I moved up to the women's squad, it's just been that ever since. So I'm not changing it now.
No, you can't. You've got an affinity to it now. You've got to keep it.
I know. I'll take any number for Scotland, but for Hibs, I can say 16.
It's like, just give me the shirt, coach. I don't care what I don't care what it's got on the back of it, as long as
give me 30 seconds. That's fine. That's all I need.
Hey, cap's a cap. See if somebody made me water boy for Scotland, I'd be running around telling people. Never mind. Honorary team member. Next time you're at a Scotland game, going, I know a guy that will happily make tea for the guy that makes the coffee. Like, just send him any excuse to get on the pitch. That's all retired players want. I don't care what sport. Get me there. And the last question, the question I put in the trailer when I very first made this podcast, and I hate now asking it because I get really impressive people on and ask them stupid questions. Bourbons or custard creams? Which one would you prefer?
Custard creams.
What is it with all these custard creams? I'm a Bourbon man. Like you're off
the I'll both, but if I had to pick one, custard cream. I don't know. I just love custard.
That's fair. Do you dunk them in the tea? Piping hot cup of tea and a custard cream?
If they're there, but normally I just have the cup of tea. An athlete, or tell myself I'm an athlete.
That's nice. If the coach is watching, though, you've covered all base. I'll just edit it so it just says just the tea. Just gonna be a random chop cut where we just keep moving. Oh, I don't know what happened, coach. Just cut out. That's all that happened. So, quick disclaimer, as I mentioned there, you're now back. So, as all the listeners know, one of the most successful podcasts I've ever had. Chairman of St Mirren, John Needham, graciously gave up his time, converted me. #up the Saints. I'm there now. So you've actually been sent on a bit of missionary work. You're trying to recruit me back to Leith to see the good sunshine. So I just wanted to thank you once again for coming on. And
no problem.
I've already been reliably informed that there might be a signed St Mirren top up here in time for next season. Yeah. Can you help me get either a signed Hibs women's top or a signed Scotland top up here?
I'll try my best. Sure, it'll be no problem.
That's what I like to hear. I'm going to run out of clothes at this point, but I'll find some.
As long as it's right in the camera, then you can have it.
If you send me it, you can pick where it goes. I'll wear it if you want. Like, just get a big enough size and I'll wear it every session. So, Ellis, we're going to start right at the very beginning because I always love to hear how they start. How did you find football? Did football come to you through family, or did you just stumble across it one day and went, this looks like a good bit of fun?
Well, when I was young, ever since I was born, I was one of those tomboy girls that you get. I think what generally one Christmas, I think I was like 2 years old and I got a doll. And I think I just threw it back and wasn't interested. Sounds so unappreciative now, but I knew what I wanted back then. But I think I was like 3. I think I was just always kicking a ball about in the back garden with my dad. So my dad got me into it. And then we moved to Aberlady in East Lothian. Mm-hmm. And him and his friends, they started up the football club there.
Oh, nice.
Well, I think there was maybe 1 year ago, but started it up fresh.
Revived.
For my age group, and then I was always just the only girl playing. So from there, played for years with all the boys. Played a year above me because there weren't that many in my year that were playing. So my dad got me into football, and he's followed me and supported me on my journey ever since, as well as my mum. But my dad's been the main driver and all that.
I love that. That sounds like that's like good typical dad parents. Like you've had a daughter and you'd planned for a son. You're like, is she still playing football? Like I've bought the football.
Well, I think my mum was hoping I'd be a ballerina because genuinely she would make me go to ballerina classes, and I was like, nah, I'm not having this.
That might have been football as well, light on the feet.
I know, it could have been. I mean, I played tennis as well, and it got to a point where I had to choose between tennis and football.
That's interesting.
And yeah, so I actually played tennis to quite a high level as well. You know, it's like representing districts in Scotland and stuff, and then I chose football. And I think my mum was a bit gutted, but I loved it. So she can't say anything, to be honest.
She can't say anything. I'm sure the Scotland caps and the Hibs representation, I think she's made the right choice by now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as you've actually touched on this, so you started off as a girl playing in a boys' team, because from my experience of football when I was younger and noticing girls playing, that seemed to be the case a lot. Is probably about I played football up until under 15s, under 16s, and that we still had girls in the boys' teams there. Was that you? When did you first move into like women's football and girls' football, where it was just girls exclusive? Was that around that time as well?
Yeah. So I think it was like primary 6-ish. I went along to Musselburgh, Windsor.
Oh, nice.
They're still local to me, and I was still playing the boys' football on the Saturday and then the girls' football on the Sunday. And then I was at Musselburgh, Windsor until about under 15s. Played under 15s, but I was like still young for my age then. And then Hibs came in for me, and then it just seemed like the right move at the right time. They had the clear pathway that was going up. They were doing well at the time with the women's team, and yeah, it was the right move. And to be fair, since I've gone to Hibs and started under 15s, I think I was 13 or 14. I've never really looked back.
That's the impressive. It's like people downplay that, but it's like you see, like just for a comparison, if you had a boy who was 13 playing in the under 16s, everybody would be raving about this kid as if he's like, oh, this is that. So that's like a massive achievement to be playing 13 years old playing under 15.
I know it happens a lot in the women's game now. You know, we kind of say if they're good enough, they should be there. So it happens a lot, but yeah, I suppose it's not as big. It's not as common in the men's game because there's 10 times the number of players. So,
did you find that a lot when you were younger and playing it? Did you find yourself not being the only girl in your team, but did you find yourself rarely coming up against other girls until you got to Musselburgh, Windsor and places like that?
Yeah, I remember one time it was my first year in high school and I was playing for the school team. I can't even remember what school we were playing against, but you know, I got off the bus with all the boys and all the other team went, oh my god, a girl's playing, like kind of being like, oh, this, like laughing, it'll be easy, like that. All that stuff never ever bothered me. And then, you know, I was quite a naive first year, and at the end of the game they went, oh, you're shit hot, by the way. And I didn't really know what shit hot meant at the time, so I've gone home to mum like, Mum, they said I was shit hot. What's it all about? And she was like, Ellis, that means they thought you were good. I was like, oh, right. I was like, they were saying it in quite like a nice way, and they were like, she was like, Ellis, you are an idiot. But I think, you know, opinions did change, you know, when didn't come up against that many other girls, mainly boy heavy teams, until I was playing just girls football. But that's a memory that sticks out, and Mum still slags me to this day for it.
That's good. I'm good. Do you know that's going to make you see when I describe you now on like the announcement post, I'm going to be like, Ellis Notley shit hot at football. And your mum will be like, this kid's insulting you.
I know. I was like, I genuinely, honestly, don't know how I didn't click on that meant I was actually all right.
I mean, to be fair, it's like you said, when you're at quite a young age, you probably subconsciously were a bit more like intimidated what's going on around you, so you're not really expecting compliments, especially from an opposition team.
Yeah, no, I can't even remember won the game. I was just went home like, Mum, help.
I thought you were going to say, Mum, I'm shit hot. What do I do? That's really like warmed my soul a bit. That's a nice little thing to hear. So you mentioned that. So we'll go from we'll come back to that. We'll go. So you got to the Hibs age grade. So that's that was under 15s, not under 16s. So did you do a year of under 15s?
Yeah. So women's football, it might have changed now, but we went under 15s, under 17s, and then it was development squad, then women's squad. That was like our pathway. Right. Well, that was my pathway at the time. So under 15s in my first with Hibs in the first season, you know, we won the League Cup, the Scottish Cup. It was a great year.
You must have been loving this. Like, this football.
Oh, it's so good. It was like, I'm like, what a move! Should have done this years ago. But nah, it was good. Musselburgh Windsor obviously were huge in that development in terms of that. So going to Hibs, it was great. You know, winning these cups, and then I moved up to under 17s, and that was a wee bit tougher because we're in a national performance league. So you were with your Celtics, Rangers, Hamiltons, all like your bigger teams who have women's teams or men's teams as it is. And then quite early on, I moved up. I think I was 16. Moved up to the development squad, so I was playing against ladies, and that was like another learning curve. And you're playing, you know, somewhere there for a laugh, somewhere there for serious, and it was a good learning curve as well. Going up, and then again, I got an option to go and play with the first team, and as I said, I've genuinely not looked back. I can't thank every single coach that I've had enough, because they've been on that journey with me at some point.
Well, it sounds like you've been smashing it ever since you touch a ball, you just smash it, depending on whatever pitch you're playing on. But so I was telling you before we came on air, so I think the way this podcast is going to work best is if we kind of intertwine your stories. So we talk about Ellis Notley the person and Ellis Notley the player as they sort of go along. So as you're growing up trying to be this footballer and you're sort of recognizing there's the pathway like you've seen, how much was the commitment level expected of a Hibs under 15 women's player alongside being a high school kid?
I think I was training, well, at least 2 to 3 times with club, and then we, as a female, there's the regional performance centres that you get, and that's once a week as well, and that's the best in Southeast region. There's a North region. There's all the regions in Scotland. They all have their own centres, and then you go and play. So I would say I was training 3 to 4 times a week with a game at the weekend. Sometimes two games because you're playing. 2 games. Yeah, sometimes 2 games if once I was at Hibs, it was maybe 1 game. Yeah. Sometimes 2 if I was going and playing with under 17. So, you know, it was tough because you're then at an age where your friends are starting maybe to go out a little bit more. Not out, but you know, out.
Breeding tough and muscle rats.
You know, out a little bit more, and you're like at the point, oh, I'm missing out. But you know, I knew I loved my football. I didn't care at that point. And then as I got a wee bit older, maybe 14, 15, 16, when you're going through all your hormones, you're maturing hopefully, and your body changes, I'm really thinking, oh, I am missing out. I don't see my friends. I'm seeing all them having a great time, but you then forget you've got all your friends at football as well. They're all doing the same thing. And my friends were great. You know, they slag me off for the amount of football I do still to this day, but they're my biggest fans. Well, at least I hope they are. They never come to games, but that's another topic.
Oh, I like that.
But they've supported me. You know, they say that I can't fault them, to be honest. But yeah, so it is tough. But I wanted it bad enough, so you know, I'm more than happy to miss spending time with my friends if it means moving to that next level. But it's always, for me, it's important to make time to still see them, because you know, they keep you grounded, they support you, they help you take your mind off it as well. So it can be tough sometimes.
I think that'd be really interesting as well, because I reckon it'd be quite weird as well, because not just your friends, but I mean, this would be, for me talking as a personal experience as well, is like, as a guy in your class, as a boy, I'd almost be looking at you with a bit of jealousy, because you know, every kid when he grows up, it's like, it's Project Messi. You're like, oh, I'm going to be a footballer. Yeah. And then so obviously you'd be watching you doing, like, God, like, oh, she's become this professional footballer, and it's like, I could have done it, I could have done this. And then, like you say, you'll be training 4 times a week, potential 2 games a week. And if the guys were anything like me, they'd be racking up hours and hours of FIFA and be like, I just don't know why it's not me. But talking of your friends not going to a game, 7th of August is first game of the season. So, you know, guys, let's get going. It's away, but we'll organise a minibus. We're good. day out.
No, well, I've got a friend who, when we were growing up, he played for Hibs as well. So he had the same commitment. He was probably missing out more because he was training more. And I always remember I was playing first team at the time at Hibs, and he was at development squad, and he's earning money and I'm not. And I'm like, my mum's like, we're like, how's this fair?
Oh, don't worry. I've got, you're preaching to the choir about women's equality in sport. And
I understand I do get, we're not on the same level. We can't maybe earn the same thousands and thousands that they earn weekly. But, you know, at least there needs to be some meet in the middle.
We'll get there one day. You're coming. I'm coming from the rugby background. I've got myself in more trouble than I care to admit by tweeting the wrong people, going, "Why are these people not getting paid?" So I'm very much team equality on that department. Don't you worry. Especially when you So I want to talk about the regional centre there. You quickly brought up. So how much would a regional centre encompass? So for you, is there a lot of travel involved? Obviously, because I imagine the centre was sort of Edinburgh based, and you're obviously Musselburgh, outskirts of Edinburgh.
Yeah. So I can't even remember what it was. For me, it was at Peffer Mill. So that's not too far. And then there was a time it was at Meggetland. And it wasn't never too bad. It was just sometimes traffic was a nightmare. And obviously I'm relying on my parents or my parents' friends. So they were sitting in hours of traffic just to get me here to train for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But that centre is obviously one of the best sessions you would do a week, because you're with the best of the best players in your region. And then I think once a year you'd go to Tully Allen, the police training centre.
Is it the one just in the south of town? Or
Tully Allen. I don't know. I think it's up near Perth, maybe.
All right. In that case, I'm completely lost. I've just made up that I knew it in the first place.
Yeah, and then you'd play against all the other regions and stuff. So it's a good experience. Right. Scotland coaches are there. It's giving you that flavour of what it could potentially be like if you're away with Scotland and playing the best of the best. And obviously trying to stand out in that process as well.
That's a nice question. I'll ask you more of that when we get into the development. When I think when we get to development squads and you're sort of conscious of the trying to stand out aspect. But now I want to talk about the really difficult part that I imagine most young players try to do, especially part-time athletes like yourself who aren't just in an academy. Uni life and professional sport. Because they're two lifestyles that really tend, although they technically work quite well, because uni life tends to operate in the dark hours and professional athlete workplace in the day hours.
Yeah.
Those two lifestyles don't really gel too well. So how was that for you?
For me, it was, I've never been the one to always go out. I've never been that person.
I've seen you PE teachers on nights out. You're a wild lot.
Yeah, the PE teachers are generally for age. I'll rarely drink. You're lucky if I will drink. I've only maybe recently started to drink a little bit more. And that was just because I'd have training and I'd turn up to the party 3 hours later. So I would be like, I'll just drive. Or I've got a game in the morning. I can't drink. So I've never really been that bothered. But I'd still always go out, just not drink. But merging the uni life when, Freshers Week, probably everyone's out every single night. But you've got training, and at the time when I was at uni, I was in the National Performance Academy, which unfortunately doesn't run anymore, but it was, players, they're trying to make you a full-time athlete while you're still in education. So we would be training Monday to Friday morning at 7 a.m. So going out.
Yeah, that's not. I would advise that. No. Even I would restrain on a night out if somebody told me I have to be in the gym for 7 a.m.
Yeah, so we're in the gym at 7 a.m. and, my flatmates maybe aren't getting home till 3:30, 4 in the morning. I'm I'm up in 2 hours to try and get to training. So, it was tough. I'd always tried to make sure, at least if I wasn't going out, I'd go to the prees.
Yeah.
So I was involved to some extent. And then by that time, all my friends are absolutely away with it and I can just leave and they're none the wiser. So
I like the thought you just turned up with 4 fruit shoots and I'm just going to sip these and then I'm going to go home and go to bed.
What are you drinking? Oh, I've got my bottle of water here. What's that? Oh, vodka. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I just like them all. I just call fruit shoots would be Strongbow. I'd just say anything under the sun. Especially we have the horrible disadvantage. So in case people are wondering how Ellis and I got in touch, Ellis has had the horrible misfortune of knowing both my little brothers, right? And one of them's a bit of a wild child. So when I talk about PE teachers drinking, they know how to drink.
Yeah, I mean, night was wild, to be fair. There's no denying that. So, and that's what I mean. We had obviously Edinburgh Uni and the PE teaching. You've got adoption night, you've got daddy-daughter night, meet the grandparents. You've got all these nights, and there was no chance I was missing out on them because, again, it's a way to get to know people in different years, get to know your year better. So, although I maybe just sometimes didn't drink and leave that wee bit earlier, I made sure I went, unless I was in a different country. But that was about it.
I think that's a good excuse. I don't think anybody could ping you for that one.
I know, because there
I
was
like
one
that.
night.
Oh, sorry, carry on.
It was adoption night, and that's where the year above us adopt someone in our. It's a weird night if you don't understand the concept or you've never heard of it before. But luckily, someone in the year above me was away with me at the time, so they were like, "We'll just have our adoption night when we can just watch all the stories together, and we'll just cry that we're missing out." So that was fine. It is tough. Sometimes you do feel like you are missing out, but what can you do? It's the sacrifices you have to make, I suppose.
Exactly. Well, that's the main thing. The main thing I've taken away from speaking to every sports person in this is if it was easy, everybody would do it. So
yeah.
And ironically, you probably had a better like bonding night with just the other girl just watching the stories than you would have if you were actually on it as well. So
woke up feeling fine. They all woke up probably ill.
I don't think off camera because I can't tell the story about my brother on camera because it will ruin him. But I'll tell you, you probably know how my brother's with, but we'll talk about it off camera. It was so. You said was it the National Performance? It wasn't agency. It was agency. The NR
Academy.
That academy. I knew it began with the name National Performance Academy. So that was a full-time thing. So you were doing that while studying uni. Did you just do? You didn't do an abbreviated version of the course, did you? You didn't do like a part-time learner's course. You did full-time.
No. Yeah.
So you were full-time both ends.
Yeah. So it was based at Orium, which is at Heriot Watt Uni. And you had the option to move into halls there and basically live on campus there where the training was. So obviously a lot of players opted to do that, but I wanted to be with the people that I went to uni with. So I moved into halls at Edinburgh Uni and got a flat with people who were also in my course at Edinburgh Uni. So I had a wee bit of travel where they'd maybe roll out their bed at 6:30 or 6:45 to get to the gym for 7. I'd be up at 6 having to drive in, which is fine, and I wouldn't change my decision. So yeah, it's basically just trying to move away from home, live as a full-time athlete, train very early in the morning, you had to be studying at something, whether it was college or uni, and then go and train at night with clubs. So
how did the weekly schedule sort of look for you? Because I know your course was your education was a very hands-on course. Like it's not a case of I'll just catch up with lectures online in my bed when I feel like it.
No, we had
like you're there and like you've got placements and things. So can you just do like a quick Monday to Friday what the day looks like?
So when I was at uni, Monday I'd be in the gym for 7, leave, do my gym session, whatever. Probably if we had a lecture at 9, I'd be ramming it through town as fast as I can to dump my car and then run to this lecture. And then Monday night, I think I had it off, which was quite good. Sometimes I'd maybe go and play fives with my dad, whatever it was.
Honestly, I'll just play some more football.
Yeah, my dad will ask me any time, play a shot, do you want to play fives? Yeah, straight in. Tuesday was the same training, but it was a pitch-based session. Again, we had uni, straight to uni, and then club training at night. A Wednesday was in the gym, and then that if we were in uni, then again, but I had that night off. Thursday, a session, club training at night. Friday, the same as the Thursday, and uni in between that. And then if it was placement, I was straight to whatever school I was at. There, teaching all day, straight to training. So, full on. And
then Saturdays, you just play the game and get a nice rest and play the game on a Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, thankfully, we had that off. And then Sunday was our game day. So games are always on Sundays.
So Saturdays is the day off.
Saturdays is a nice chill day, yeah.
I don't know if I prefer the Saturday or Sunday off in that situation. I mean, not that you got the choice because the game's the game, but
we've always played on a Sunday. I don't know why. I think if it changed to a Saturday, I think it would be interesting to see. I need to try.
Throw the whole team off. You don't be like, I don't know what to do with myself.
I know. We'd all be like, on a Sunday, what are we doing today?
Oh well, it'd be good. You'd go from there. But that's a really interesting concept because I can't imagine. Because in terms of spare time, so I always like to know the people that I'm talking to, not just as athletes. I think the whole premise of this podcast is I'm talking to Ellis Notley, the person.
Yeah. So
in terms of hobbies, and I know that you said you played fives with your dad, which is a hobby that's not a profession or it's not got a work thing attached to it. Did you have not to try? And I know because this does come across as quite a condescending question in a way. It's like, did you have hobbies and things like that? I really try to word that question nicely, but
No,
do you know what
no.
I mean? Like what? Where was the free time in a week?
I mean, it was tough. It was like a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
You know, I'd
So
spend.
that was taken up by a certain non-plugged night out situation because they don't pay me.
Yeah, you know, that was normally do whatever with my flatmates or meet friends,
Yeah.
do that. And same with a Saturday, that'd be who can I go and see? Is there something I can do? You know, whether is the rugby on? Can we go and watch rugby? Is there a football game we go and watch? Can my friends, can we go for food? Whatever it may be, it was, can we try and do something on that day? Or sometimes I just want this day completely to myself. I am absolutely done in, but no, just, you know, your normal stuff, catching up with friends, maybe walk my dog, you know.
All right. That's good though. It's good that you were able to acknowledge it and go, there are days when I need to sit back, because the mental fatigue as well as the physical fatigue you put yourself through to just, especially like as we spoke about a lot, like as the teacher aspect as well. If you're on placement, I know teachers that don't teach that many classes a week and they still get into the Friday and they're like, I hate every single person in the school. So it's really impressive that you manage. I don't know when this sort of clicked for you, whether it was a retrospective thing or as it was going, but to have that mental fortitude as a person to go, I know when this is me and I know when I've just got to grit my teeth and go, I can't do this stuff that everybody else is doing. Like, do you get sort of taught that at a young age from the coaches that were around you? Like do they drill into you quite like going, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices here, like that's just the way this goes?
Yeah, I think they have, but I mean, I'll openly admit I'm the world's worst person for doing nothing. Like, can't sit and do nothing.
Right.
My mum will always say, like, you need to chill out, you need to stop, that's too much. And I'm like, no, because if I'm just sat around the house, I'll feel worse for it.
Right.
Well, in my head, I think, but then I know I get to that certain point where I just burn out. So that's
Everybody
why,
gets those days though. Everybody
yeah,
needs those days where we just stay in bed.
yeah. Even if it's not just necessarily stay in bed, but just have it to myself, you know, put a TV series on or walk the dog or something like that. You know, it's just to myself, and then so I just don't have to interact with anyone, to be honest. For that, it is a rare day, but nah, I know. Ask anyone. I'm the busiest person you'll ever meet, probably. Just running from one thing to the other, but I can't do nothing.
I completely agree. I believe you. I'm not even going to challenge it. I think I could know somebody who's busier. But so would you say like your dog walking and your TV series are also your way to sort of mentally unwind as well? Then they're like I know that as much as my legs are aching, it's starting to ache up here as I'm doing an audio podcast and I'm using my hands to talk. In your brain, you're knowing that it's getting a bit more. We have a YouTube channel. Please go like and subscribe. Yeah. See, I can just plug anything, man. It's amazing I don't have sponsors. Just can't imagine why. It's not like I fumble over my words repeatedly.
I don't know why. You have great guests as well, so come on.
Exactly. See, future Scotland El Capitano. What more do you want? Not that I'm piling pressure on you now as well, but
I know. Feel a little bit. It's caving in.
Hey, me and all your pals, I'll get a minibus and we'll be there first game. We'll get shirts that spell El Capitano on the back, and I don't know why we're Spanish all of a sudden, but there we go. Yeah. So yeah, where was that distracted? Yeah, so walking the dog, days to yourself, the TV series, is that when you sort of realize as well, it's like the mentality of my life also needs to have a chill day?
Yeah, like that's probably my way of still sort of being active in a way, but having that time to myself just to relax, to completely switch off from everything else. And you know, some people might prefer just lying in a bed all day, but you know, as much as I could do that, within an hour I'd be bored. Like, oh, I need to move.
I'm jealous. I wish I had your enthusiasm for going outside. So we're going to talk about the good stuff now. Your first Scotland age grade call up. Do you remember the emotion and the feeling of when was it like a phone call? Was it a letter? Was it?
I think so. There's two ways I think it's similar for boys, but there's Scottish schools, and then there's the Scotland national team. So I think Scottish schools was my first call up.
Okay. So how did that come about?
So, you know, you go to a trial and then it all goes through your school. So I was actually sat in English, and the guy, Mr. Docherty, who runs the football, he like knocked on the door and was like, "Can I speak to Ellis?" And I was like, "Oh God, what have I done?" sort of thing. Like,
that's every kid's reaction when a teacher comes and "Can I speak to the child?" Like, "Oh, what have I done?"
He didn't even teach me at the time, so I was like, "What's going on?" And then he's like, "Oh, just to let you know, you've been selected for this." And I was like, "Oh, that's like absolutely buzzing, better text my mum and stuff." So I'm like sat in class trying to slyly text my mum saying, "Mum, guess what? Look what's happened." So that was Scottish schools, and then Scotland under 15s. It was like my parents' email that got it.
Right.
So the email comes out. You'd go to an email came out saying you've been selected for a camp. So there's 30 odd players for the camp.
Right.
And I just remember mum texting me, like you've been picked, sort of thing. And then you'd go to the camp, train for 2 to 3 days, stay over, play a squad game, and then within the next few days you'd get an email if you were successful for that squad.
Nice.
And then I can remember getting an email, my mum getting an email and then telling me that I was successful in getting into that team, and I was going over to Germany to play Germany.
So this isn't the schools anymore. This is the actual way.
Like a 1 year,
Right,
year
okay.
thing where we played one tournament.
Right.
But the Scotland one was, under 15s Germany, go and play Germany, who are undoubtedly very good. I think we got beat a little bit quite badly, but again, we were playing the best of the best at the time, so it was tough. But the feeling, just get a feeling of immense like pride, sort of like, and then the immense pride sudden with the, oh my God, I am scared.
Yeah. That's the next question I was going to ask you. What was, because I can't comprehend, because you must have been, so that was under 17, wasn't it? Under 17 Scotland?
15. I must have been 14.
Yeah, I was going to say, so yeah, under 15 Scotland, so that's 14 years old.
14,
How
15.
do you comprehend as a 14? Because I was an idiot at a 14-year-old. Like, I thought I knew the world, but I was an idiot at 14. And then so I can't comprehend somebody sitting me down on a plane to go, all right, you're kind of representing the country now, and you've got to go play football. What's it like being in that changing room or even on that plane? Like, how did that feel?
Like, I know, I remember we turned up to the airport, and then we got given a tracksuit. You're going into the toilet to get changed into the tracksuit, so you're all there's still a picture of, I think at the time, the 5 Hibs girls, or however many Hibs girls there was,
right.
in the picture, and we just look all so young, but you're in that Scotland strip, and you're grinning from ear to ear because you're so happy and proud that you're there. But then you are thinking, you forget. I don't know. Like, you feel so young. You're like, oh my God, I'm way to go and do this. Even if I don't play, I'm, representing my country, in that way. But I still can't believe that I've done it, to be honest.
Every now and again, you just have to remind yourself, like, I did that. That was me. I was there. So as it went, so then how did it feel when you then got to the next level? So you've done under 15s, you're now at the next age group. Do you feel like you're becoming a bit more of a professional in inverted commas of you have that mindset and attitude of it's still fun and it's still an exciting achievement, but you kind of know that you're there. I don't know how I'm trying to word this, as not as do a job, but you kind of get the thing I'm after here. You know that there's a role that you're playing here.
Yeah.
So how does it feel when you've become more familiar in the role is probably what I'm trying to get at there.
Yeah, so when we were under 15s, we didn't have to, qualify for the Euros. So when you then got to under 17s, you had the first phase, and then if you qualified from that, you had the elite phase. If you qualified from the elite phase, you went to the finals.
Right.
It gets a bit more serious. You have under 16s in the middle, which again is just, another experience for you to go and play against the best of the best in the world. But going to that under 17s, it's more serious, but you've also, what you're to expect because you've been there and you've had the previous experiences. You've played with the girls who you play against week in, week out. But you also realise, like, oh, this is a step up. I need to raise my game. I need to make sure. I mean, eating well, I'm training the best I can, so I can hopefully be in that starting 11. But you feel more confident and comfortable going into that environment once you've already done it.
All right, so it's kind of like a repetition and familiarity type thing takes the whole.
Yeah,
that's what. So as you pointed out there, it's like, so you're going through the phases to actually get to achieve. When did, I don't know how to describe it, because I assume football is still fun for you. Nobody can do the commitment you guys do if it's not fun. But when did you start looking at football? Like as we've said, you've always had the career path outlined. But when did football go from this is my fun hobby that I'm happening to do quite well in, to you now sort of almost get the tunnel vision blinkers mindset of, I know if I need to perform well here now, like this is now, like there's risk attached to me not playing well. Did that come with these finals, or was that like the first sort of taste of that, and then as it kind of grew?
I think it's probably, obviously, if you don't train well, you're never going to play at the weekend.
Yeah.
And for me, because it's always been something I've enjoyed, I just want to play football.
Okay.
If I never got picked for that team, I'd be gutted. So I think it's always been there, but maybe only more so recently, when in the last couple of years, when we've kind of moved to a more professionalised league. Maybe not a professionalised team as what we are now, but the professionalised league, you're competing against players that are full-time, when I've been teaching all day and then I've got to come into play. Whereas they've just, maybe had a rest day, or they've trained the full week and then played. So I don't know. I don't think that feeling's fully there, because I'm not making a total living out of it. I'm still doing it because I love it and because I enjoy it. Obviously, the goal is, can I go and play full-time professionally at some point? But it's a hard one, because I do love teaching.
You have to be a teacher. You have to love teaching. There's no,
I know,
because you deal with kids like me, and you're just like, like I said, I was an idiot at 14 and thought I knew how the world worked at 14. So God knows how you put up with 40 of them in a class every hour on the hour. But see, you've touched brilliantly on my nice little point there as well. I want to talk about part-time athletes. So we've already mentioned the demanding schedule you can have as a teacher, as a uni student, as a part-time athlete. I don't even know how I really want to try word this and say it, but what are the noticeable differences you have, as you just sort of touched on there with your teammates? What are the notable differences you can have as a part-time athlete? Like, is there any things that you just stand out that just go, I'm hampered, and not hampered, but I'm sort of, my hands are semi-tied because of this aspect of my life?
Yeah, I mean, I remember throughout the season, last season, I was missing training sessions because I had parents' evening.
Yeah.
I know, and obviously there's nothing I can do about it. It's part of my job as a teacher. And obviously my coaches were great in understanding that. But then it's like, how can, what happens if I start that weekend and someone who's been there at all 3 sessions, or how many sessions? Well, Ellis wasn't there that day. So one of them where it's like, what do you do? I have to go and do parents' evening. I can't not do that. And then also, I'd teach Monday to Friday. Sometimes we'd have midweek games on a Wednesday. And I remember just before Christmas, we were playing Hearts at Tynecastle. And someone else on my team, Colette Kavanagh, she is a teacher, but she's trying to go and play professionally this season now. And I think that was probably the worst game we'd both ever played in our lives. We couldn't take a touch, couldn't pass. we were trying so hard, but just nothing would go right. Thankfully we won the game, but we were horrendous. And when it got to the end of the game, we were just like, we are done. Like, we need this term to end. We need a break from football. We're just mentally and physically done, because the teaching, like, it's the slog of the year from October to December. You don't have. I know teachers have loads of holidays, but you don't have a holiday between them.
You can't take a long weekend when you need it.
No, can't take it when you maybe need it. You can't take a day off if you maybe need it. But I just remember that game, and we generally just turned to each other at the end of the game just started laughing, like, oh, we've won.
What can you do?
Thank God, but what can we do? And our coaches were like, what was going on? And we were like, you know what, we're just absolutely knackered. So sorry, guys. But it is hard balancing it all. Trying to fit in, that session that you missed, or fit in gym sessions throughout your week that you might not get to because your training starts at 4, but I don't finish school till 3:30, so I need to do it myself at a different time, for example.
And you physically just can't be in two places at once.
Exactly.
Has it ever worked almost for you, as in, so the way I was imagining this in my head when I was constructing this question is, in my mind, if I knew I was missing a session, like you said, if you're still fighting for a place in the starting team, but there's somebody that's been there for 3 sessions and you've made 2, sometimes even only 1, if just the way things have fallen. Has it ever worked with you, as in, my coaches know when I'm here, like, I'm not doing the 75% stopping just before the line to cut corners thing. You're like, I'm going 110% because I know this could be the only session I've got this week.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like regardless, whenever I step onto the pitch, I'll always give my all. Like, I'll do 110% to make sure that I've done everything I can to be in that starting 11 at the weekend. And I know, sometimes you have a horrific night, but if they can't fault your effort, then that's the main thing. And then also, if I am missing a session, I'll ensure I'm asking our strength and conditioning coach, what session should I do to make up for the session that I've missed, sort of thing.
Well, that's all I could ask from a teammate or a player, is that if there's nothing worse when, a lot of the listeners will resonate with this because we all play for different teams, not to the same level as yourself, but we all play in various things where we play fives, and there's nothing worse when somebody turns up and you're like, it's clear as day this guy does not want to be here, or this girl does not want to be here. So you might as well just head home. So when somebody is there giving it 110, I think that almost speaks volumes in a player that's just like, quote unquote, better than others. I know there's different positions and you can't really determine who's the best football player because Cristiano Ronaldo in goals is probably a bit shit. But
no, I know. But I also think sometimes if you say personally, I turn up and I'm just in a stinker of a mood, I've had an awful day, I'm just don't want to be there. But I know if I just try, then that can help that person, or I see someone else trying, that can just spur me on to try that a little bit harder as well. Because we all have bad days, we all have bad nights. It's just you control your effort. You can't control everything else, but that's what that's a variable you can control.
I like that. That's a quote. There's weird parts of my podcast that stick with me, but when somebody goes, you can control your effort, and that's pretty much it. I really like that, and I think a lot of people should take that on. Is, there's one thing you control, and that's your effort. And coming on nicely, because that's a very movable bit. The next thing we're going to talk about is you being a teacher, because that follows on the part-time athlete. That's the other, not a part-time because it's a full-time job, but that's the other part of your life, is the teacher. Yeah. So, my first question, so when I always ask a few people, because I like to make sure that I'm asking the questions the listeners want to hear. And the first thing somebody said to me, they go, do you ever get kids that think they're better at football than you? And have you ever showed one of them up in front of their mates?
Oh, all the time. Especially, I think, being a female. I know it, because, I love all the banter that comes with it. Oh, miss, you play for Hibs, they're shite. I'm like, right, boys, language, on, or whatever. I love all that. Like, it doesn't bother me.
Not the swearing though, kids. We don't love the swearing because that's bad.
Obviously not. But it comes in, if we're on a football block, they're like, miss, you joining in? And I'm like, okay, I'll join in. And I remember I joined in one time with a group of third-year boys, and I kid you not, I took the ball, passed it, and a boy came flying in and slide tackled me, and I flipped over him, and I just was like, right. Thankfully, another teacher was there, because I was like head to toe in mud. We were on the ground, and I was just like, right, boys, I don't mind joining in, but I'm not here to get injured. I don't know why we're trying to injure me. So then,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh because that's really bang out of order, but the way he described it is just really...
It was funny. I was in a white hoodie as well, so I ruined my hoodie, but, we moved past that. So
I've invoiced the school for the hoodie.
That was the start of it, and I was like, right, boys, I genuinely will join in, but if I get injured, I don't want to get injured. One, I don't want to hurt yous, and I don't want to get hurt myself. And they were like, nah, fair. the next time I got the ball, I just put it through his legs. It was great. And all
that
of
must have been the most.
like, hey! And I was like, oh, I'm so thankful I did that.
The thing is, you would have won so much approval as like it would have been like a little cult thing where it's like,
oh, I know.
Miss Notley is now the leader of the group. Like she is now the alpha male of this group.
I know. Like that's what I mean. I said I love all the banter. I just like hate when they try to be too smart, too cocky, and I was just like, come on. Yeah. Whereas you get like, and it's great, you know. Obviously, being that teacher, you can be that role model, but have that banter with them. It's good.
I love to hear that because we're Peebles is a rugby school traditionally.
Yeah.
So our teachers were like my PE teacher was an international rugby referee at the time, and he could outplay all of us at rugby, and it was the exact same as that. You know, he's like, if you're gonna take the mick, I'm not doing it, but I will join in, and it was like chasing shadows for all these kids that thought they'd be better than this. I don't know, when your teacher rocks up with a six pack, like you probably don't stand much of a chance, but our teacher was like better, like healthier than all of us. So, but I love that. So we've spoke about nicely how the teaching aspect comes in, and then as a teacher, how am I trying to word it? I'll probably cut this out if it doesn't go well, or I'll keep it in to show that podcasts are a very organic thing. As the teacher, that life sort of intertwines itself, and you've got the kids. So, like you said, you've got the kids, and they're trying to intertwine with you. Is it because of your background in sport, and obviously, sport is such an infectious thing in terms of like we were just talking about there, the happiness and the joy that comes with it? Do you have to find times where you're trying to rein it? You're almost reining yourself back. Like, I'm the teacher of this class. I'm not in the class.
Yeah, I think sometimes just because some might follow Hibs or Hibernian women on Instagram, social media, I remember I'm just when I won Player of the Year, they're like, oh Miss, you've done this, or I modelled the Hibs strip, and they're saying, Miss, look, you're my screensaver, and I'm like, right. I know I posted those pictures, but bit weird. One, a bit weird. Two, come on. And then sometimes you're having that laugh with them about maybe football teams, football results, and all that. All right, wait. Stop being so pally, because then the next minute they say something and it's crossed that line, and you're like, right, cut it out now.
Does that when that situation happens, because if you get, I assume it's really inspiring for you if you get like a first year girl that's like, Miss, you're my screensaver, I love football, and you have to kind of go, I'm not Ellis Notley, Hibernian women professional football or football player right now, I'm Miss Notley, PE teacher. Like how does that switch in your brain work where you're like, this has got a...
It's a hard one because you don't want to deter any, say, young male or female away from playing the football, but then there's also a line because of I am a teacher, and they have, like, to be fair, it only happened once, and it was like she was older, the pupil, so we were like, like, come on, just change it, and she changed it straight away. All our friends were calling her weird anyway for it, so I think got to the point where she was like, all right, I better change this.
Yes. Yeah, have your passions, but understand people are people. That's the way I'd tell people to look at that.
That's what we were like. It wasn't just me. There was another PE teacher there helping me, backing me on this one, so it was fine.
That's right. So we spoke about part-time athletes, spoke about teacher being a part of your life. I'm not going to call it part-time teaching because you do more work than most people do in a normal working week. So I want to talk to you now in your current career. We've talked about the build-up to it. Hibs women's team, Hibs women's first team. You're now known on the Hibs website as Miss Consistent. That's a nice treat. How did it feel? Because obviously you must have broken into the Hibs team proper probably most COVID times. So you probably didn't see many fans and things like that.
I think I was there obviously a few years before it.
Yeah,
COVID, but in terms of regularly playing.
Yeah, so I should specify that's what I meant, and being consistent.
It wasn't till maybe just before COVID. I played for the season before COVID. I was in and out a wee bit of the team. Still enjoying it, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to play. And then COVID hit, and I don't know if I can thank it or not, because I would never thank it, but it gave me time to just get into the best shape I probably could have been, and fit, and and then from them I've just played, I think, most games. I can't remember a game maybe I've not played in, which is obviously nice. That's
a good situation to be in. Yeah,
you want to be playing. So yeah, it was good. It is still good. And hopefully it continues this season.
But so, how does it feel? Because that's quite good. So you're obviously still quite young. You're 23, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Always debatable to ask a woman her age. That always goes well on camera to put on the internet later. But yeah, so you're 23. But like you said, COVID was almost. So you must have been like 19, 20 when you were first not going and playing consistently, like I said, but you're in the changing room. So how does that feel now? Because you're technically probably almost a 5-year veteran of the Hibs first team at the age of 23. So how do you feel like you've sort of been like spun round in the so you've gone from you'd have been the young kid coming in obviously, and you'd have senior players sort of like come sit next to me, we'll show you about, we'll make sure you don't do anything foolish like put your boots on the wrong feet because you're nervous. Do you now find yourself sort of doing that to the younger ones coming through, going, come on, like sit with me, sit on the bus and we'll be all right, things like that?
Yeah, it's like, I think when I first went out the first year, I was maybe like 16 or something.
Yeah. I see, you're almost a 10-year veteran then.
I've been in and out, I wasn't always playing. I was always maybe there, but more recently, like, my coach been like, oh, you're Ellis, she's experienced. And I'm like, people like, wait, but she's only 23. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So obviously it's nice to have that because, it shows like your teammates and your coaches trust you. They see how you act and how you can help others. So yeah, definitely with new players that come in, younger players that are in try to, support them as much as I can without being patronising, because obviously I've been there. You don't want to come across as patronising. I'm sure no one ever is meant to, but you just don't want to be that person. Do this, do that, because they know the women's game's grown so much. They've had the same experience as me, growing up, going through the different teams. So they do know it. It's just making them feel comfortable to, be themselves and show themselves off, to be honest.
All right. Oh, well, that's I suppose given that confidence, because all that does is, it makes a player feel more comfortable, so they play better, which in theory makes the team play better, and then in theory leads to better results. So it's a good thing what we're all doing. Like you said, it might come across as patronising, but in actual fact, it does take away some of those nerves.
Yeah, definitely. I can't thank the players that were there for me when I was younger. Some of them are still there in the change room today. Some of them, are friends for life who have moved on to other teams. But I'm just trying to be what they were to me, to new players that are coming in.
I mean, so as yourself growing in the Hibs team, how have you felt it becoming a consistent Hibs player? Did you have like a sort of, like, I know we keep referring back to the plan that we've had, you've had, as I played no part in it. It was all you. You came across as a Hibs consistent player. Did you have the sort of mindset of, I'm here now, I want to play this many games this season when I'm 17, 18, I want to play this many games, and by this point I want to be a starter?
I've never really had that plan in my head. I've just been like, can I start? When can I start? If I get that chance to start, can I take it to show that I should start that next game? And now recently, the last couple of years when I have been starting, it's, can I play well enough to hold down that position? Can I make it, that position's mine? Like that, I'm going to be the first or second name on the team sheet, and everyone else can not slot inside me. That's not to sound big-headed or anything like that.
I knew what you meant there. Don't worry, I knew what you meant.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not a big-headed. I hate being like big-headed and all that. But just like, can they play? Can I want to play this position. Can it be mine, sort of thing. So I've never really had a plan, but I've just wanted to play as many games as possible. I'd rather play games than train, to be honest.
I think everybody's the best fitness is playing games. The best fitness is playing games. And now the little bit I want to talk about, receiving you touched on it, your Player of the Year trophy. Is that so? Your Player of the Year, was that voted by the rest of the team, or was that a fans' Player of the Year, or
It was from the rest of the team, yeah.
I think that's even more. It's impressive to stand out to a crowd watching, but for the rest of the team, like you said, that football is a very, everybody's working as hard as they can. There's nobody not giving 100%. So when the rest of the team give you an award like that, how does that feel?
I mean, when building up to it, I was like, oh my god, like my name was coming up. They had a video and it was like all the players that had voted, so who I voted for, and then people were saying me, and I was like, oh my god, like why have they voted for me, sort of thing. And then it got announced that I got the most votes, and I was just like, oh my, like just genuine, I couldn't stop smiling, and I just felt like, oh, I was just grateful that they had recognised like my hard work through the year. You know, I was doing it throughout my NQT year as a teacher.
Yeah.
Trying, to be there for the team, play my best for the team, and do everything, just consistently show up with the right attitude. And it was just a genuine honour, and I can't thank all my teammates enough for voting me for that. I mean, the nerves then hit me when I had to realise I was going up on the stage in front of 700 people to speak in front of them, and I was like, oh no. But I was like,
had you prepared a speech?
No. And then they're like, anything you want to say? I was like, thanks to my teammates. My leg is shaking non-stop. I'm like, I can't do this.
You're like, put me in front of a crowd with a ball at my feet rather than in front of a podium.
Don't tell me to speak in front of 700 people. I can't do that. I can teach kids, but I can't speak.
Ironically, I reckon the teaching kids is probably harder as well.
Some might say, but definitely not for me.
So I love that. I love it when athletes, because for me looking out, athletes are very confident people. Like we've said, they're very almost together. Like they've had such a regimented life that nothing phases them. Like it bounces off them. So yeah. I love it when like yourself, you talk about, you're like, I was a bundle of nerves. Like I was worried whether my shoes were going to hold me up where I was going.
Oh well, I was just thinking about walk normal in your heels, please. I was thinking, don't embarrass yourself. You can't do this now. And I hate thinking about good things that I've done. Like I'm the world's worst. I hate it.
Oh, there's nothing. I'll tell you this now. Everybody that's came on this podcast has said the same thing. There's nothing worse than talking about yourself.
There's not, and I've done, actually, for me, I've done quite well so far. I'm just like, oh no.
You've been great. I'm sure everybody will agree. You've been brilliant. But there is nobody likes talking, even in job interviews and things like that. Nobody likes talking about themselves. They're like, name some impressive achievements you've done. You're like, I don't know, really, like something, but.
Jeez, you're just like,
It's always the way. So don't worry. Everybody's the same. So I want to talk now about the actual league you're in now. So you're, like you've touched on, you've been playing a lot of, it's a more professionalized league, and it's becoming more and more, as everybody's seen with the growth of women's sport, not only in football, across the world, it seems to be in every sport. So how do you now feel now when you're recognised, you're on, like BBC News Scotland are doing reviews and roundups and highlights and making appearances on like terrestrial and national telly. And then obviously you see you've always played against these names, but now it is like Celtic Hibs is now, just not to sound condescending, it's as big a game as it was in the men's game as it is in the women's.
Yeah.
If that's trying to put it across the right way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like we played Celtic at Celtic Park, and some of the Green Brigade came along, and a few years ago that would never have happened. So it's great that more and more people are taking an interest in it, and I think that's came a long way with the league becoming more professionalized. One, probably thankful to social media, how much the accounts put out there, how much they try and promote it, how much they try and get people to come along, just because if they come along to one game, they enjoy it, they might come along to another. And that's all we can ask. I think the league becoming more professionalized only helps attract sponsors. It obviously helps generate money, which money helps solve a lot of issues in terms of, can we put on more things at games to attract more fans? That's the biggest thing that the women's game needs. The women game needs. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, you've watched me stumble, and I'm the host. Like, don't worry about it.
Like women's Euros on just now. You've got 68 to 70,000 at the opening game. England's opening game. So that's a pride in itself. And down south has made great strides, and Scotland's not too far behind, hopefully.
Exactly, and it's good as well. It's good football. It's people like it's an easy trend, isn't it, to shit on like women's sport and go, oh, it's not as good as it. It's like, well, like if you took men's back football to where it would, because like you've got to forget, it's like you're comparing something that's had a couple of 100 years practice against something that is still probably the best part of at the very most 30, 40 years old. So if you took the men's football back down, you'd probably actually find it was probably a worse level.
No, definitely, and it is a completely different game. It's not like you'll watch men's football and you'll watch women's football. They're two separate games, but a lot of people who, you know, maybe say, "I'll never watch women's football" or say stuff negatively about it, they've never ever given it a chance. So, you know, they could give it a chance and love it. You know, my mum, she loves football, but she'll rarely watch football, but, you know, she says she much prefers watching women's football because the women don't roll about on the grass when they get...
That's so true, yeah.
So, you know, people need to give it a chance, and if they give it a chance and then they don't like it, then fair. But if they don't give it that chance, they can't really say much.
Exactly. Well, you've got a new Hibs women's fan in me. St. Mirren and Hibs were still up, but the missionary work's cut. I'm being pulled back. I'm there. I've got the calendar up here for the game. I'm looking at Hibs Hamilton on the 14th of August. I could be there.
Oh, perfect.
In my signed Ellis Notley under 19s. There we go. So, lastly, before we get on to my favourite section, which I didn't tell you about, under the team bus, kind of threw you under the team bus, so that one, if you will. See, we can do some branding on this show. I want to talk about the future of Ellis Notley. Yeah. And this is the future of Ellis Notley, the person becoming the player, if that makes sense. So, do you have, again, we're doing some amazing callbacks here. We're still talking about the path. Like, oh God, people will think I actually planned this if I'm not careful. So we're talking about the path. What does the future look like for you? Is it because you've said you love teaching, and teaching is such a commitment? As I hope the listeners have really learned that you've put so much into becoming a teacher.
Yeah.
Are you going to be looking to maybe go the teammate we talked about? Her name's something like, is it Kavanagh? Kavanagh, Cav for short. That's her nickname. Cav.
That makes it easier.
I'll pretend like I'm good friends with her as well, Cav. So as Cav did, she's got a year of going, I'm going to try be a pro for a year. Is this what the future is sort of looking like for yourself, or what's your aims for the future in terms of football?
It's a hard one. You know, I do love teaching and I do love playing football. I want to do both for as long as I can. I know it's not practical in the way that the women's game's moving. But I know it's a hard one because it's not about the money at all. But, you know, I live at home and I want to try and move out. So, you know, unfortunately at the minute, football doesn't pay the same as teaching pays, which I know it's obviously not about that, but, you know, I'm also at an age where I need to try and, you know, save up for somewhere or whatever. There's other things that I need to think about in terms that, unfortunately, I do need money for. So, you know, I'm going to teach for hopefully in a year or two more, and then who knows with what will happen with football. Exactly. I do want for a few years, hopefully.
But also on the subject, you did just you signed the contract, was it 2 months ago now as well? So congratulations on that.
Thank you, for another year at least. So excited for that, for what could come.
Football is run one season at a time, so a year contract's still a contract.
Exactly.
Plus, there's in the cheesiest quote you'll ever hear today, there's only 2 days you can do nothing about, and that's yesterday and tomorrow. So we work for today. You can take that to the school for the next time they're acting up.
All in the school now.
Over in 80 minutes podcast. Sam Matthews next to like the Gandhi ones and Abraham Lincoln, just having my photo there.
Yeah, next to subscribe and like on YouTube, please.
Hey, if I might get you to record that separately, and I'm just gonna get everybody to just go like and record. So I've had such a fun time today. I can't wait to do this again once you've got the Scotland caps and we've got the medals, and we'll do it again, because the best thing about this podcast is it's always room to come back, because once people have spoken about themselves and we can just talk about any old nonsense, and that's when it gets really fun, because you just find the wild side of people there. Like, you'll never believe some of the stuff the jockeys get up to. Crazy. And now that fits us on nicely to my favourite section. It's called Under the Team Bus. For the new listeners around here, this is very much like the quickfire questions we had at the start of the podcast, except now Ellis has to throw her teammates under the bus and give the answers for them. So Ellis, I gave you a quick brief of how it kind of works, but we'll do one for an example so everybody knows what you're about to sell yourself up for. So Who's most up for a night out in your teammates, in your history of teammates?
Cav. Kavanagh.
She just loves it. Who's the biggest practical? Who's the biggest practical joker in the squad?
Rachel Small. Well, Rachel Boyle now.
Right, Rachel Boyle, biggest practical joker. Who's the most clumsy?
Leah Tweedy.
Who's the most determined? Like, who's the one that turns up to training and you're like, who's wound her up today?
Siobhan Hunter. She's probably one of the hardest working people I've met. Determined to do everything well.
Nice. Who's got the worst fashion sense and who turns up in the most outrageous gear?
Oh, that's a tough one.
You're painting a nice picture of teammates. It's all wild.
I don't know. Everyone's got quite good dress sense. I'd probably just say me, to be honest. And that's not. Are
you like the PE teacher mantra of just trackies every day?
Constant gym gear.
We'll let you off. You've given some brilliant answers, so I'll let you off for that one. Who's the best dancer in the squad? Who's the one in the changing room giving it the big licks?
Oh. Katie Rice.
Nice. And vice versa, who's the worst dancer?
Can't say me again. We'll go Joelle Murray.
That's nice, good answer. Who's the future coach when you're like watching training? Who you've got team manager written all over you?
I've already said Joelle.
You can say the same person twice if the answer fit.
Go Joelle.
She's got like Hibs women's coach written all over her.
She's just got Mrs. Hibs on her back.
That's a good thing to have. Right, who is hard as nails? Who's somebody you think if it ever kicks off on the pitch, I want them stood behind me or in front of me, depending on how it goes?
Shiv
again?
Yeah.
Nice. Who's the most natural footballer? So that may not be who's the best player you've ever played with, but who is just, when you watch something like, you just see their touch and like they can take a ball out of the air that was 40, 50 yards in the air. Who's that kind of player?
Shannon McGregor. She's up there.
Nice. Right, we're going down to the final couple now. Who's the most gullible?
Gullible. I'm trying to think. Rosie Livingston.
Really?
I got one. She's young. Well,
the young kids would always get it.
Exactly.
Right, and who is most likely to order a plain meal at Nando's?
Kirsty Morrison.
Can't handle the spice.
No, I've grown up with her as well, so she can take that one. I've known her for she eats plain butter pasta, like just plain pasta.
That's a student meal if I've ever heard it.
Yeah, on it, so she can definitely have the plain meal.
Well, even if she denies it now, there's evidence that says contrary to it. Who's the most natural athlete? So, like similar to the most natural footballer, who's just this person has a motor on them?
Leah Eddy.
Fine, guess. Last question, and this is the one that always makes people laugh. Who hogs the mirror the most after the game if they know they've got a big interview coming up?
Oh, Shannon McGregor.
You answered that one so fast. I love that.
But she's just naturally pretty, so she doesn't really need to, but she does.
That's a media prepared save. I like that, Ellis. That's brilliant. That's a round of applause. I'll be using that one for training if I'm ever teaching somebody media training. So I've had so much fun for this. I think you've been brilliant in how you've shown the lifestyle of a part-time athlete, full-time workhorse. The only thing that's left to do is the one question I gave you a bit of time for. Yeah. We've got 3 songs. You've got to get the team ready for a big night out after winning the Cup, Champions League, after the first cap, whatever it is that you think is the big achievement. And we're there. What 3 songs are you picking and why?
Well, I'm a massive Paolo Nutini fan, so
fresh off Transmit as well. Were you at Transmit?
I was there, yes, of course.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't quite cry. Not quite, nearly.
Nearly.
I bought tickets for the Hydro today, so it's great.
Congratulations! I couldn't get tickets.
Oh, that's sad. That's really
sore spot.
Back out on Friday though, so it's fine.
Oh, we'll try again.
I'd go New Shoes maybe.
Great song.
I'd go Afraid to Feel.
I like it.
It just comes on and it's a toe tapper. And then, since we're at Hibs, we'll go a song by the Proclaimers, Life With You.
I like that you chose Life With You as well, because it's not one of the stereotypical. I love that.
yeah, it's a sick fun. Everyone knows it. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, with the Proclaimers as well, you're pulling me back across. We're gonna have to get someone from St. Mirren on because they're losing a fan. Ellis, this has been so much fun. Where can they follow? I know you said you're quite private on social media, but where can they follow you on social media if they want to keep up with you?
Ellis Notley.
Ellis Notley.
that is
Hibs women's football Twitter.
Yeah.
All right, Ellis, this has been so much fun. Thank you very much. Listeners, thank you very much for listening, because without you, this podcast doesn't go round and round. It's just me messaging people on Instagram like a weirdo. So, everybody, thank you very much. As the usual, as Ellis, say it again, say like, subscribe, and watch.
Like, subscribe, and watch on YouTube, guys.
Yes, perfect. There we go. I couldn't have put it any better. Thank you all very much. I'll see you again next week for another episode. Season 2 has been so much fun. And as I've just said, it comes down to the guests and the listeners. You guys make it what it is. See you again next week for another episode. Goodbye.